The buildup has been dominated by public divisions over the scale of economic stimulus packages and the scope of new regulations for financial institutions. Chinese aspirations to replace the dollar with a world currency, bickering over who is to blame for the crisis, and finger-pointing over protectionist policies that might make it worse. Times Online, Marco. Protectionism seems to be the word of the day. The United States, well, first said, all right, no protectionism. All countries are saying no to protectionism, but that Buy American clause seems to have started this all again. We've had protectionist cries in Europe. We've had protectionist cries in Asia, simply everywhere. Our country's looking more inward. Is it, in a way, the end of the so-called global economy, or perhaps a new chapter?
Well, I think that everybody wants everyone else not to do protectionism, but their own electorate are pushing them that way. There's just a recent report by the IMF that says that 17 out of the 20 G20 countries are going down protectionist policies. So everybody's talking about not doing protectionism, but in fact that is the way things are going, and it's a natural reaction. It's a natural reaction to look after your own people, so make sure that you get voted in next time, and that's always going to be the case. Now, talking about what can be achieved at this meeting, firstly, the regulation for future is the easy bit, in that we know that these mistakes have happened. We know that getting rid of Glass-Steagall in '99 and deregulating the system has caused a lot of problems. We know that the credit derivatives and potentially hedge funds and a number of other areas need higher regulation. Putting a framework in place for that, brilliant, brilliant, but it doesn't really solve the issue now. It's like closing the barn door after the horse has bolted. So really what needs to happen is much more of an agreement in terms of keeping trade going, keeping the doors open to keep trade flowing. I like the idea of a new fund for trade credit, but really the issue is that especially Britain and the US have carried on spending at a huge rate, money that we really don't have. And at a certain point, this has to stop. You can't carry on bailing out everyone, because it then gets to the point where the government themselves look unstable in terms of their finances. So we have to start looking at being able to pull back government spending and to be able to see this through, because worst case scenario is the governments go bankrupt, and then is there going to be enough enough money from the IMF to come and bail everyone out? The IMF is funded by the rich countries, and the rich countries are skint. Now, we are talking about the IMF needing to sell some of their gold, but of course the gold is really backing up everything else. So once we get rid of the gold, then what? And it's a disastrous situation that we've got ourselves into. Now that we've gone down the route of rescuing everyone in sight, we've sort of opened Pandora's box, and more will need to go in to rescue failing institutions, which, in my opinion, was the wrong thing to do in the first place.
Bloomberg.com, China chastises West in leadership bid before G20. BBC, China presses G20 reform plans. China has increased the pressure on world leaders just days before G20 World Summit by calling for an overhaul of a global financial system. Washington Post goes, look to Beijing. 100 years ago, London would have made sense as a spot where world leaders should gather. Right now, the article contends it should be next to Mao's tomb near the Forbidden City in the meeting halls of Tiananmen Square in Beijing. So, Tyson, is China the world's new America when we're talking economy?
No, I'm not sure. Not yet. I mean, you know, China is heavily dependent upon American economic strength in order for them to continue to ship goods and services to us. That said, I do think that China has clearly emerged as a kingmaker on the global scale. But I don't think that they've supplemented the United States just yet. I think that the United States still plays the key role. And I think that with the leadership of Barack Obama, this is also going to be part of a star tour for him. I think you're going to see a very positive reception by the European public to Obama. He's also going to be going to other countries like Turkey to celebrate NATO's 60th anniversary. And so I think that the United States still has, is still the global leader. We haven't been deposed by China yet.
Marco, would you agree? Or do you see the world in some kind of a, financial leadership crisis?
Well, yes. I mean, the basis of everything being the dollar and the U.S. is, of course, coming under question. We will be moving to a new system. Ideally, it will be a smooth transition to some kind of new global financial system based on a basket of currencies or based on a super currency maybe issued by the IMF, and ideally we'll have a smooth transition away from the dollar to that. The alternative, of course, is chaos and potentially war if the dollar were to collapse. But of course, if we carry on printing money like there's no tomorrow, we're devaluing the basis of everything, and the swings that are going to happen and already happened in commodity prices. But of course the worry that all the world has in terms of 65% of the world's reserves are in dollars. Yes, we're moving to a new basis, but there isn't a framework yet, and there'll need to be a lot of talking and a lot of working out in terms of where we're going to get to, and hopefully it'll be a smooth transition, but it's unlikely to be.
All right, Tyson, like 20 seconds. What do you see coming out of G20 come April the 2nd?
I see confidence in the markets. I think you're going to see an upturn in U.S. and other global stock markets because I think that there will be progress on moving towards consensus on certain regulatory reforms to global financial markets.
Marco, your speculations.
20 seconds.
It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything in new regulations. It doesn't solve the problems. It might help moving forward, but it doesn't solve the problems now. We need to see this through, and it's going to be painful. But carrying on spending money that we don't have, rescuing everyone in sight, is not going to solve the problem.
All right, optimism on one hand and pessimism on the other. Let's see who's worn out to be right. Come April the 2nd. From London, we're joined by Marco Pietropoli, economist with RM Wealth Management. From Washington, we're joined by Tyson Slocum, economic analyst, director of Public Citizens Energy Program. Gentlemen, thank you for your time, views, and the insight you brought to another edition of Fine Print. For our viewers, always watch out for the Fine Print right here on Press TV with me, Amir.